Hey everyone! So we got a new game sent in to me, and I'm gonna go ahead and take a look at it for this video. So we're gonna be looking at it from the black pieces perspective here. So let's go ahead and let's take a look here. So we start off with pawn b4, e5, a3 from the white pieces. And something like this isn't what you want to be doing in the opening. You want to be playing for the center. So I don't like the move a3 from the white pieces here. And I also don't like the idea of h3. I don't understand why these moves are being played. They're kind of like a waste of tempo. You want to be using every move to the most that you can get out of it. And when you play on the side like that, you're not playing for the center. You're not developing your pieces. You're not doing what you want to do in the opening. Let's see, the black pieces here, they got out the minor pieces and they've castled. So following the principles of the opening. Knight f3, d5, yes. So when you're heading development, you want to open the center. You have, your king castle. This king's still in the center, so you want to be hitting the center. So e takes, knight takes, knight takes. So one thing to look at here is I went and looked at, well, is there any possible way to get away with knight takes e5 or knight takes knight takes e5 here? And right off the, just looking at it, you can think, well, pawn grabbing in principle when you're behind development, and also noticing that this king and this knight are on the same file here, you can just tell this looks like it's a bad idea. And I went ahead and looked at it, and we can look at this sample variation here. So something like this can get a little tricky, but we can go ahead and do this type of idea where the knight, it hits the queen and this knight, and you're hitting this knight twice. So things can get a little complicated here, but it winds up being better for the black pieces, So obviously, something like this is not very good, and it just winds up being better for the black piece. Let's go ahead and get back to the main game here. Okay. Pawn moves to b3 again. Same thing here. Making pawn moves. Too many non-developing moves, and getting behind the development. And maybe the bishop. The idea is to get the bishop here, but we're too slow. e4. Bishop c4. Okay, so here's queen to d6 is played in the game. One thing I was looking at is queen to f5. Because the idea is, okay, this knight is attacked by the pawn, but it can't really move because you're setting up, threats on f2 if the knight moves. So I was thinking, queen f5 looks good there. Okay, let's go ahead, queen d6. In any case, the black pieces are still better. Let's go ahead here, knight g5. Okay, queen to f6. Okay, so you're hitting the knight, and you're threatening the rook. So one thing that the white pieces have here to try to get out of this is probably the best move is queen to h5, with the idea that, okay, you're threatening here, so if the queen takes, you're trying to counter attack to prevent the loss of pieces, while also trying to defend. That's the idea. And you can maybe do something like this, maybe, and in this type of variation the black pieces are still a little bit better. Okay. Back to the game, though. After queen f6, the knight takes on e4, and after queen takes e1 here, the black pieces are just up a lot of material here. This is pretty good for the black pieces here, because if the knight takes, well then you got queen e5, and this is better. In the game, the pawn moves to c3. Okay. And right here, actually, you can go ahead and take on a3. Okay. Let's go ahead and let's look through a little more. Okay, and yeah, so it's still better for the black pieces. Maybe not as good as it was a minute ago. But let's see. But yeah, I still like the black pieces. Bishop takes. Okay, so here's one tricky move I wanted to take a look at here. So you can go knight to f3 check here, with the idea that, okay, so you're giving the check and you're discover attacking here. So let's say queen takes, you can take and then you can take here, and you're doing much better. Okay, let's continue here. Okay, 93. Yeah, this looks like a nice square for that knight. Okay, yeah, and then we just win some. Or yeah, we just take the piece. Okay. And at this type of endgame, it should be pretty easy to win if you're up. You know, just a rook, pretty much. Okay, well, they have a pawn, so pawn versus a rook. That's not a very fair matchup for the white pieces. Okay. So yeah, you just need to slowly start taking away all, you know, the pieces and just slowly simplify down. Eventually, it should be a pretty easy win. Okay, so let's see how we get here. Okay. King h8. I don't know if I really get king h8. Maybe, I don't know, maybe we could like lift the pawn up so we don't have to worry about back rank checkmates, and we can start getting this rook into the game. And maybe start like going after the pawns and things. You know, because we don't have to worry about back rank checkmates. That might not be good. You know, that might not be something we want to keep having to worry about. Okay. Alright, yeah, so, So I guess we could just take this pawn here, because we need to start getting rid of these pawns. These are really, you know, the only real problem here. Like, we can just simplify off the queens, take off all the pawns, and then we could still have a rook left. That'd be an easy endgame win, right? And, yeah, that should be pretty simple win. If you can just get the queens off, that's the only tricky thing, because you want to make sure you don't fall into any of those perpetual checks where the queen just keeps checking back and forth. That's kind of the main real thing you just need to make sure you avoid at this point. Is make sure, you know, no back rank checkmates and no perpetual checks. That's really all you need to worry about. Okay, so now once you get rid of those pawns, you just need to take out the rest of them. Okay, right here, why not take this guy, just get rid of one more pawn and just say, okay, well, maybe we can just get rid of these pawns. Maybe that might not be such a bad idea. It's just taking out this pawn and then like start trying to promote your B pawn here, because you can get another queen. That makes it that much easier. Also, queens and passed pawns are particularly easy to push because your queen can defend the square in front of the pawn while helping it to push. You know, like that's one of the advantages of the queen and the passed pawn. Okay, now we got this one, so we're... Oh, and right here we missed an opportunity here. If we can go queen f3, there's a checkmate in just 2 moves here. So after, like, king g1 takes, we can actually checkmate. And then, you know, just end the game. Alright, back to the game, queen e2. Okay, taking out the last pawn. And we'll go kind of quickly through this because obviously it's a huge advantage, you know, the queen and the rook. And then this kind of ends the game here, this skewer, because king step, you know, if the king were to step out, well, this is where the game ends. But you know, you get this skewer here, so if the king just steps out of the way, you'll take the queen, and then there's nothing left. But yeah, it was just a matter of time with the queen and the rook until you get something to end the game. Alright, well, that's going to be it for this game, so, you know, thanks for watching, thanks for sending me your games. If anyone has any games that they'd like me to take a look at, go ahead and send them to me, and I'll do my best to get around to looking at them. Alright, see ya.